The 2022 NASCAR playoffs proved to be one of the wildest playoffs just from the first round alone. In this video, we're going to be continuing looking at these playoffs by going over the round of 12. If you haven't seen part 1 of this series, I highly recommend that you give it a watch, as it was a wild round and it'll set you up for the second part that we're about to dive into. We start the round of 12 at the Texas Motor Speedway, and early on you can already tell that the excitement from round 1 was going to carry over into this round. Early on, we would see a lot of single car spins and tires once again blowing out. Martin Truex Jr. and Kyle Busch were the first victims. Fortunately for Truex, he was able to continue on, but Kyle Busch's day would end rather quickly. What was wild about this for Kyle Busch was that in every single playoff race up to this point, he had an issue and had DNF'd in 3 out of 4 races. Then later on in the first stage, Christopher Bell would also blow a tire, which was bizarre because in the first stage, 3 out of the 4 Joe Gibbs Racing drivers had experienced issues. Our next on-track incident was both terrible and important. Alex Bowman would blow a tire, sending him into the outside wall in turns 3 and 4. At first, this looked like a normal crash, and he had just hit the wall with no big issues. But this wreck would give Alex Bowman a concussion and sideline him for 5 races. It was important for this wreck to happen. Thankfully, Alex Bowman is okay to this day, but NASCAR finally took the next-gen car's safety seriously and began to work on the ways for the car to wreck and not have all the force go to the drivers' bodies. This wreck was important, but like I said, it was still terrible that it injured Alex Bowman in this way. What's also bizarre about this is Alex Bowman continued in this race and actually finished. Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin would have an exciting battle for the Stage 1 win. Larson would ultimately edge out Denny Hamlin for the win, and then this wacky race would get even wackier, as we saw 2 drivers that you expect to be at the front battling for the lead. Yes, people, that's sarcasm. We saw Harrison Burton take the lead from none other than Ricky Stenhouse Jr. on a 1.5-mile track that really does show you that this car can have anybody lead with the neutral playing field that it gives us. Then Christopher Bell would have his second incident of the day. This time he would blow a tire and get up into the wall, ultimately ending his race. Later on during the second stage, we saw a scary crash involving Cody Ware as he would hit the outside wall and come down pit road out of control, almost crashing into an awkward angle on the pit wall. Cody Ware would end up going to the hospital, but what was bizarre was that he had no serious head injuries from this, but Alex Bowman's light tap into the wall almost ended his season. Alright, now we got Chase Elliott up there battling for the lead, a playoff driver, and he's wrecked. Awesome. Yet another tire would blow out. This time the leader, Chase Elliott, would hit the wall, take his car straight to the infield grass, and it would burst into flames. You just knew at this point that this wasn't going to be the last tire incident. Even though there were so many, you knew that there were more coming. And guess what? There are more coming. So buckle up. Ryan Blaney would go on to win the second stage. And then to follow the common theme of craziness in this playoffs, we get rain in Texas. Only over the track and just enough to drizzle that the cars have to come down pit road, and a red flag would come out for about an hour. So now this race was going to go into nighttime, so the track conditions were going to change. Maybe now with the sun going down, the tires wouldn't blow out as much? No, we watched not only 1, not 2, but 3 cars blow tires and crash out of the race, all in turns 3 and 4. 2 of the cars that blew tires were both leading the race, and simultaneously on back-to-back laps, crashed, and this was just bizarre. And then under caution, William Byron would spin out Denny Hamlin because of some on-track green flag battling that he disagreed with. Then while the laps dwindled down, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. would run out of talent and spin out, nearly collecting Austin Cindric, who made a fantastic save. After all the craziness of this race yet again, for the 4th straight week, a non-playoff driver would win a playoff race. Now Tyler Reddick was a playoff driver, but he was eliminated in the previous round. So this was just funny that for the 4th time in 4 races, all playoff races, we had a non-playoff driver win yet again. Alright, so on to the biggest wildcard track in the entire sport, Talladega, and with the playoffs as crazy as this, I would only expect this race to be the craziest race of the entire season, and at first it seemed like that. We saw Ty Dillon lose a window, we saw a massive crash entering turn 1 involving Joey Logano. He was really the only playoff driver that was involved. We also saw for the 2nd straight week, the 48 get caught up in a wreck. This week though, it was Noah Gragson subbing for Alex Bowman. But in a twisted way, this race was the least mellow out of any of the playoff races. Ryan Blaney would go on to win the first stage in a photo finish over Denny Hamlin, and then in the second stage, Christopher Bell would spin out entering pit road, but really that was the only issue, and once again, coming to the finish of the second stage, there was a photo finish. This time, Chase Elliott would win the stage, and then with less than 10 laps to go, Daniel Hemrick would stall his car on pit road, bringing the caution out and setting up what seemed to be an intense overtime finish. On the following restart, Chase Elliott would get the opportunity to be the first car in the outside lane, and he would get a massive push to go side by side with Ryan Blaney coming to the white flag. This move would pay off for Elliott, and he would battle with Blaney the entire final lap, coming into the tri-oval and winning the race and becoming the first playoff driver to win in the 2022 playoffs, which was big because a week prior he crashed out, so he advanced automatically to the next round with this win. Now we move on to the elimination race of the round of 12 at the Charlotte Roval. Again, this track in previous years had proved to be a crazy wild card right behind Talladega for action since it was added to the schedule in 2018. And we did see some good battling throughout the first couple stages, but it really was kind of a follow the leader and not a lot of cautions early on. Joey Logano would win the first stage, and then Ross Chastain would win the second stage. However, in the final stage, this race turned completely upside down. Both Trackhouse drivers experienced problems. Daniel Suarez lost power steering, and Ross Chastain had to go to the garage for mechanical issues after winning the second stage, keep in mind. Kyle Larson would also have an issue, and he would come down pit road, which would put him several laps down. So now we have the defending champion with the opportunity to get eliminated with less than 20 laps to go. Then we would get a debris caution, and that would set up a restart where you had guys in a must-win and other who were a few points below or above the cut line. So of course, the following restart was going to be unproblematic, right? Well, AJ Allmendinger would move Chase Elliott, then Kevin Harvick would move AJ Allmendinger, and then Chase Elliott would get spun out by Tyler Reddick. Lucky for Elliott, he had that win at Talladega because this would have eliminated him. So I haven't mentioned yet Christopher Bell, but he's in second place right now. Yeah, he's the must-win driver I was talking about, and he has the freshest tires right now. Coming into the backstretch chicane, multiple cars would get bunched up, causing a massive crash that looked like it would take out Chase Briscoe. But luckily for him, a caution would come out as the curb came up, allowing for him to pit for tires and attempt to get those positions he lost. Now on the final restart, Christopher Bell would take the lead from Kevin Harvick, and once again, heading down into the backstretch chicane, we would see another playoff driver get spun out in Austin Cindric, going from above the cut line to below it in an instant. Chase Briscoe would race his way in after teammate Cole Custer would throw a block, which would end up getting the 41 team fined and penalized. Christopher Bell would go on to have a walk-off win, while Kyle Larson, who seemed to be well on his way to going to the next round, would get eliminated with Austin Cindric, Daniel Suarez, and Alex Bowman. So to recap this round, we saw one of the worst races in NASCAR history at Texas, followed by the biggest wildcard track in the sport, becoming the most tame race in the entire playoffs up to this point, and then the cutoff race completely turned upside down and eliminated a driver who dominated a season earlier and was our defending champion. This round continued the trend of chaos from round 1 onto this round. So let me know what you guys thought when you were watching this, or if this is your first time hearing about this, let me know what you guys think, and as always, I appreciate you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.